St. Johns County 101, St. Johns County in a nutshell, St. Johns County, pros and cons, whatever. We are here today to talk about St. Johns County, and we are going to go from a 10,000-foot view. So if you're up really high, looking down at St. Johns County, pros and cons, lots of questions about St. Johns County, just sort of an overview. And as we keep moving forward, we have other videos that get more in depth on things, but this is 2023. It's almost 2024. I can't believe it. And I wanted to talk about right now today, what it's like here in St. Johns County. If you're moving from out of state, or maybe you live here as well and you share the experience, I'm going to give you my point of view on living here. My name's Austin. I have been here for, about 11 years. We moved here from overseas. Before that, many years before that, I moved from Canada. So I've had a couple international moves. Man, I wish that there was a channel, something like this to help me orient what was happening here when we moved from overseas. So I want to do that for you guys. A lot of cool things, everything from some cost of living stuff to some really interesting things on different culture here as you move to North Florida. They say in Florida, the further north you go, the more southern you get, but have some things to talk about because I have a lot of people that have moved here from New York, from California, and just things just act a little, just work a little bit more differently. Things are just a little bit more different here. So we'll talk about that later on in the video. But first of all, St. Johns County, let's hop in and let's talk about where we are. So St. Johns County is just south of Jacksonville, Florida, and just north of Flagler. But really, St. Johns County encompasses, you have St. Augustine, and there's a wide range on that, right? Like I actually live in St. Augustine, but someone who lived in the old town of St. Augustine would probably be like, yeah, you're a poser. You don't live in St. Augustine. You live up on County Road 210. So St. Augustine is a big wide area. And we have Ponte Vedra, and we have St. John's. We have Switzerland, a whole bunch of different areas here. And so just talking about St. Johns County, really focused on the area south of Jacksonville, south of Duval County, and then down through St. Augustine and maybe southwest St. Augustine, getting out towards over at the river there. So much growth happening here, really exciting stuff. And we'll share a little bit about that as we go through this video as well. So let's hop in and talk about some of the pros of living here in St. Johns County. And I think we've got to start with when people are researching St. Johns County, I would say 8 times out of 10, when they reach out to me and they're looking at St. Johns County, they are thinking about school systems. So what's going on with the school systems in St. Johns County? It's exciting. It's a great time. So both my kids have come up through the St. Johns County school system. Probably we moved from overseas in 2012. So probably like second grade for my youngest. And now my oldest is had a year in college, and my daughter is a senior this year in high school. So sad face. She's leaving the nest next year. Will be empty nest, but excited to have seen how they've come up through the St. Johns County school system from elementary school and middle school and high school. And actually they attended an academy. So first of all, you're going to hear that word a lot. Academy. What's an academy in St. Johns County? Well, it's actually 2 things, because we want you to be super confused coming here. If you hear of an academy and we're talking about an elementary school or middle school, that's actually both combined. So they've taken the elementary schools and the middle schools and mashed them together. So it's kindergarten through grade 8, or a lot of times you'll hear K through 8. That's what that means. And we call those academies. And so you have, one of the first ones that my kids went to was called Valley Ridge Academy. You have Liberty Pines Academy and Patriot Oaks Academy. And we've got one opening up in Beacon Lake next year. And right now it's called OO, but it's going to be something Academy. And Academy signifies that it is a kindergarten through grade 8 or K through 8. The second word, the second thing we think of when we hear academy here in St. Johns County is in the high school systems, we have things called academies. And so the cool thing is, if you live in St. Johns County, your student can actually go to any other high school in St. Johns County to pick and choose. And that is if they apply and get into an academy. And so, academy doesn't mean it's only focused on one particular thing, but it's sort of like an elective that they have throughout their career there in the high school. They can get in as a freshman or as a sophomore. So, for instance, my daughter goes to Nice High School and she's in the Communications Academy, and that splits into two. There's television production and digital design. So she's in the digital design portion at Nice High School. We got rezoned to the brand new high school called Beachside High School, but she still stays at Nice. She has to take care of her own transportation. She drives to school, but she can stay at Nice because she's in the Communications Academy at Nice. If you say lived and you were zoned for Bartram Trail, and you wanted your kid to go to Ponte Vedra High School, well, that's possible if they apply into international marketing. I think they have biotech. They have some other academies over there that if your teenager gets into those academies, they can go to Ponte Vedra High School. If they want to go to uh, Creekside High, there's a cybersecurity program they can apply into. So you see how that works. We call those academies. So academy can be, first of all, it's K through 8. And second of all, in the high school, we have academies, which are specialized focuses for students during their high school career. All right. So next, I know what you're thinking when I'm going to say this, but one of the pros of living here in Northeast Florida is the natural beauty and the recreation that is available here, especially with lots of the neighborhoods up in this area. See, natural beauty. If you haven't been to Florida, sometimes when you think of Florida, what comes to mind? Swamp and stinky Shrek's house, bubbles popping in mud and things like that. But man, it's really beautiful around here. We have beautiful, beautiful, clean beaches. The water is a little bit, it's not as clear like on the Gulf side, where it's more calm and you have a lot of that like real blue, just clear looking water. Here, there's a little more sediment in the water that's mixed up. So it's not like super crystal clear. There's waves and it's fun and it's clean and the beaches are awesome here. And not just the beaches. If you go west a ways, you've got the springs. And so these springs are super cool. They are super cool. Okay, yeah, they are cool. They're always like 68 to 72 degrees all year round in the winter and the summer. So nice and cool in the summer. And I guess in the winter, if it was cold out, it'd feel warm. But there's manatees hanging out in these things, and a lot of places you can get inner tubes and just tube down these springs. Really, really cool. And then, of course, we have like so many places to go kayaking. You've got the Intracoastal Waterway is awesome for jet skiing. We've got the St. John's River, which, you're thinking about rivers. Sometimes you kind of think kind of narrow. This thing's massive. It's a big, big river. And fun fact, it's actually the only river, I believe, in North America that runs from south to north. It actually flows north. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, if you like hiking, you like biking, mountain biking, you like woods, you like kayaking, man, there's so much of that stuff to do here. Now, I will say it tends to be kind of flat. You don't have a lot of elevation here, but that can be a positive too, depending on your activity level and what you're looking to do. Oh, and I almost forgot fishing. Lots of fishing here, inshore, deep sea fishing. And a lot of the neighborhoods in this area, they have these retention ponds, call them lakes, kind of retention ponds, super important for drainage. That's what keeps our CDD communities and master plan communities from flooding over. We have all these specialized drainage areas, but they're filled with water. And a lot of times neighbors will stock them with bass and other fish. But somehow, just through how nature works, most of them have fish in them anyway. Somehow the fish make their way there. And there's some people pulling some really good sized bass out of the ponds here in my neighborhood in Beacon Lake and the other ones as well. So that's kind of fun as well if you like to fish. Point being, it's beautiful here and there's lots to do if you're looking to do some outdoor recreation. And if you like history, man, we have so much history right down in St. Johns County in St. Augustine. It is the oldest city in the US, the oldest city that was founded and still exists today. So how cool is that? Super, super special. Big fort to visit down there. Super charming downtown area. You can walk around, go from shop to shop. Of course, every tourist area has what? My wife and I was talking about this on vacation. When you're in a tourist town, there is fudge, there's saltwater taffy, and sometimes those t-shirts that change color in the sun. So if you see those three things, you know you're in a tourist town. I don't know if they have the t-shirt changing color things too much in St. Augustine. Haven't seen that, but every restaurant seems to have their own special sangria recipe too. So might be worth checking it out if you're into that. But talking about history right now, and St. Augustine has that in spades, and just a rich history in this whole area. Even the Intracoastal Waterway, learning how it was carved out for transport during World War II, and so many places and so much to learn, especially old forts. Super cool old forts all over the place down here. I think the number three reason, or the number three pro we're going to talk about right now, is our booming economy here. It is really exciting to be in such a thriving economy. A lot of people have moved down here. A lot of people have started businesses. A lot of really cool mom and pop type restaurants and other services have opened up. And of course, we have the big anchors. We have Amazon, we have healthcare. So, Amazon, I guess, talk about that quick, just talk about logistics in general and the port and the military bases and all the trucking and everything we have in this area. Logistics is huge. Actually, we talked about academies. Beachside High School has a logistics academy for high schoolers to learn about logistics. So that's really cool. And then there's a lot of tech and there is a lot of healthcare. We have Mayo and Baptist and St. Vincent's and UF and so on and so on. Wolfson's Children's Hospital. A lot of cool stuff going on here in healthcare. And again, just looking at the booms, we have a lot of the national brands and chains are opening things here. Oh goodness, we just had a brand new Costco open up in St. John's with Bucky's. If you know, you know, right? There's what's it called? A Bass Pro Shop opening up down there. There's down in a World Golf Village area here in St. Johns County. And there's such an influx of big brand, big box stuff and people just opening little ice cream shops and franchises and opening up independent services. It's booming here. There's people moving here. There's opportunity. It's super exciting to be here. We'll do another video where we do a deep dive on some of the factors that make that so, but just know it's a great place. The economy is booming. I think I said booming way too many times, but hey, that's where we're at on this video right now. So another pro of moving here to St. Johns County area, geographically speaking, we are at obviously Northeast Florida, we're at the top of Florida. So if you are moving from New York or North Carolina or Georgia or anything in between, well, we've got good news. It's a lot easier and quicker to go back home and visit family if you're in the north part of Florida here. We've got JAX, we've got Jacksonville Airport, super accessible, super easy airport in and out. I know that they have like Frontier and some of the smaller airlines as well as some of the big airlines. My wife actually flew to Buffalo, New York this morning on JetBlue out of Jacksonville. And then there's smaller airport actually in St. Augustine where there's a little bit of commercial traffic. We've had a few airlines in and out of there that haven't really survived, but there's some good potential there. Anyway, St. Augustine Airport, and then some teeny tiny airports scattered around as well. But man, we are super central to the the Atlantic Southeast. Southeast Atlantic Southeast. I don't know. We're super close to a lot that's going on the southeast part of the United States on the Atlantic Ocean. How's that? Location's incredible. So yeah, well, look at a map and see how it fits for you. But making that drive up to like the Carolina Mountains from Miami would be well, it'd be 5 hours more. So it would take a lot longer. I love being here in the northern part of Florida. And so one more pro, and then because we're just trying to do a surface thing here, I think we'll move on to some of the cons and some of the questions that people have about this area. But one more pro would be just the variety and quality of master plan communities, of neighborhoods here in this northern St. John's area. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely incredible the variety of options that you have in this area. I actually was calling it the Epcot of neighborhoods for a little while, as you've got the 800-pound gorilla Nocatee. You got, Beacon Lake and Beach Walk and Shearwater and Rivertown and Grand Lakes and all these places. They all have their own sort of theme and feel to them. They all have like really cool amenities. They all have a lot of stuff going on, activities. And it's just it's kind of nice to drive into your neighborhood. It has sort of a feel and an identity to it. There's quality, there's pride of ownership, and just a good spirit of community in these neighborhoods. So I would say that's a huge pro right now, is having these master plan communities and having so many of them. And yeah, options, variety, same word or same meaning, different words. Antonym? No. Anyways, you're not here for a grammar lesson. There's a lot of options and they're high quality options. All right. So we've hit the pros, and now let's check out some of the cons. And some of these cons may be potential cons, right? And some of the pros are potential pros, depending on what's right for your goals and your circumstance. But first of all, one of the cons of St. Johns County is just quite simply cost of living. Now, Florida has a lot to offer. There's no income tax. We're really friendly in a lot of areas, but there are some higher costs as well. For instance, we are going through some trouble with insurance right now. Insurance has been kind of a crazy industry for us, and we're seeing homes with like roofs as young as 10 years old starting to have some struggles with insurance. Now, still compared to a lot of other states, I've seen quotes, and it's really not that bad in comparison. But there is some friction right now in the insurance industry. And what I hear is that we have some things coming down the pipe that's going to be a bit of a solution for that. But just talking about cost of living, St. Johns County in general, that's more of a Florida wide thing. But just St. Johns County in general tends to have a higher price per foot, higher cost of a home when you compare to Duval and Clay and Nassau and some of the other counties around us. And so, number two, I guess this is another Florida one in general, and not so much just St. Johns County, but if you're moving to Florida, Northeast Florida, obviously there are, on the con side, there are weather concerns. And that might be, maybe you just don't like rain. In the summer, it rains here pretty much every day. But of course, moving from, hey, I grew up in Canada, lived some other places, and had a lot of questions about hurricanes and hurricane season and storms. It can be really, really scary. And man, we've been through a couple good size ones, maybe three since we've been here. And thankfully, there hasn't really been a lot of damage in those storms. I actually remember the first one, I think it was that we were here for, was Matthew, and we were living in Nocatee, and we were all transplants, right? Like nobody had been through anything like this before. And so everyone that had the storm shutters, putting up all the boards, getting everything all sorted out. Everyone's getting out of Dodge, right? We did too. We took off. We went to somewhere near Gainesville in the middle of the state just to get away. Because, well, what do we know? My wife's from upstate New York. I was from Canada. We'd lived a lot of places, but nowhere near the coast. And when you know it, there was, gosh, I think on that one, there was maybe a couple days in some of those neighborhoods without power, which when it's hot and you don't have AC, that really stinks. But most of these homes had gas, so they could still boil water, they could still cook. And well, I guess if you have a generator, you turn a fan on or something. But point being, there wasn't that much damage. And so when Irma came through, I remember everyone was just like the same people that had boarded up and got out of Dodge for that one. For Matthew, for Irma, we're just like hanging out, buying wine, and preparing for a hurricane party. But anyways, I'm not saying that's my recommendation, but that's been our experience with hurricanes. Um, Gosh, yeah, weather is hot and humid. If you don't like heat and you can't stand humidity, then, Florida's, I don't want to say Florida's not for you because well, here's the thing, right? So I don't like heat and humidity, but one thing about Florida is there's AC everywhere. As a matter of fact, we go to church on Sunday. Our church meets at a university, and my daughter always has to bring a sweater, even though it's like 95 degrees and hot and humid outside. In the church, the AC is cranked up so high that it's actually kind of cold. Where I remember growing up, we didn't have central air. And so it didn't get as hot as it does here. It didn't get hot for as long as it does here. But man, I remember trying to sleep at night and the sheets are sticking to you and you have the fan blowing in your face, making your mouth all dry. We didn't have AC. The car AC was this. And if you're younger and you don't know what this means, this is rolling down the window. So now it's maybe push or just push once and it auto goes down. But that's all we had back then, or being up north too back then. And then coming to Florida, it was AC everywhere, and that's the way it is. So yeah, it's hot and humid, but there's adjustments for that. Anyways, hurricanes, Jacksonville area, just historically doesn't get hit that hard. So that's pretty big Florida con, but Jacksonville, St. Augustine, this area here, not as much. Now, as I'm talking, I will say, like, when I said St. Augustine, it made me think that, yeah, St. Augustine, like the old city, absolutely floods 1, 2 times a year anyways, when, a big storm comes through and there's a big storm surge. I think of down by the Teeny Martini bar. You'll see the storm will come through on Saturday. There'll be flooded. There'll be people out kayaking down the street. And the very next day on Saturday night, they'll be open for business. So it does flood, but they're kind of used to it and they've got systems in place to get back up and running really quickly in those historic areas, especially. And so, con number 3, speaking of Old St. Augustine, tourism. Tourism is a big pro for the economy, but yeah, if you don't want to be shoulder to shoulder in crowds and around people who don't know what they're doing and maybe, driving too slow and turning the wrong way on the wrong road, it's hard to say, then, St. Augustine proper and maybe some of the beaches may get a little frustrating in the summer and times of year where we get a lot of tourism. I'd say the most frustrating time and the most beautiful time to go down to St. Augustine is during the Night of Lights. And that is, I think, Thanksgiving through sometime in January. Man, there are Christmas lights everywhere. I think I saw it's the biggest light display in the world. You can Snopes me on that. You can fact check me if you want, but I'm pretty sure it's the biggest light display in the world. And there's a trolley that goes around and Christmas songs and hot chocolate. And I think you get to meet Santa or something like that. But it's super fun, super cool. But man, you want to get down there like before 5 p.m. to find parking and not have to get, backed up traffic all the way down into St. Augustine, especially like Thanksgiving. And then as you get towards Christmas, it can be really a pain in the butt to get down there. But it's because it's so awesome and so beautiful. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Am I using that expression right? Tourism is exciting and it causes some hassle sometimes. So con, maybe not a huge con if you're in the service industry, maybe a pro, but let's talk about growth and overdevelopment. So we talked about schools earlier, and that is definitely one of the stress points in St. John's County schools right now is the population of the schools will get up to a certain amount. and there'll be portables, just a lot of people in the school. So they got to put these portables out there. And then what happens is they open another school, it takes the pressure off. And then the schools fill up again. And then they open another school, it takes the pressure off. So I will say that when my son graduated from Nice High School, it was the largest graduating class they've ever had. I think it was 1,000 kids, something like that. It was pretty big. But then they've opened Takoi and they opened Beachside, and both of those pulled students out of Nice, and so it gave some relief to Nice High School. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like right now, we're about to get a new school here in Beacon Lake. There's another school open up in Shearwater. There's a new school planned for a couple of years from now in Seabrook in Nocatee. So that'll be the fourth school in Nocatee alone. So there is stress on the St. Johns County schools, and they are responding, in my opinion, responding well with building new schools and taking some pressure off of those schools. But just in general, there's a lot of growth. I remember when we moved to Nocatee, County Road 210, which runs east and west through the northern part of St. Johns County here. It was a 2-lane, 50-mile-per-hour road. Now it's 4 to 6 lanes, 45 miles per hour. And when it dropped to 35, there was a lot of tickets given out on that road. But with the beach walk in Beacon Lake and just a lot of conveniences there. And so a lot of people are, what are you doing? You're taking down trees and there's too much growth and too much development. And so I understand that on one hand. On the other hand, man, it's nice not to have to drive 15 minutes to go get a piece of pizza. So when you're thinking about St. Johns County, especially northern St. Johns County and more on the east side, um, there's a lot building up around here. We've got movie theaters and, your Home Depot, Walmarts and shopping areas, Bucky's, Costco, Bass Pro Shop, a lot of really cool stuff that I love having convenient access to, but completely understand if people want more of a rural feel. And at this point, going a little further west in St. Johns County, you can get a little bit more of that. And maybe some of the lots are a little bit bigger than some of the other neighborhoods towards more of the east side of St. Johns County. But again, I think development will continue to head west. And so I don't know if that's a permanent solution if you want something that's a little more rural, but St. Johns County definitely has a lot of development going on. So exciting, not exciting. I'm personally excited for it because I love being able to go across the street and have all kinds of options for things. I love the employment opportunities and just the development in general. And these planned communities, in fairness, Nocatee, I believe, again, fact check me, is staying 60% preserved. So of all the land they have, they're only developing 40% of it. And most of these neighborhoods have large pockets of preserve and they're surrounded by preserve. When I say preserve, I just mean like trees, woods that can't be touched. And so it stays it stays as nature and natural. And there's hiking trails and different things like that. I think of like Shearwater and Rivertown and just that kayaking opportunities. Trailmark, you can actually kayak from Trout Creek out to the St. Johns River. I guess it'd be far, but it's possible to do. Just really cool nature still that's being preserved in this area, but there's a lot of growth. And so that is definitely a con for a lot of people. All right. And so then I guess final con for this video is the potential for culture shock. Now I have a little thing where just kind of joking around. So don't get mad if you're from New York, but driving around the neighborhoods and everyone waves, right? Like you wave to people, you drive in your car, you wave and people wave back and it's super friendly. But I always say if you're driving down the street and you wave to somebody and they don't wave back, they look at you like, what are you waving at me for? Like, I don't know you, leave me alone. They're probably just moved here from New York, New Jersey, somewhere up there. If you're from New York, just think I said New Jersey. If you're from New Jersey, think I said New York. You probably think they're from the Northeast. They're from the Northeast somewhere and they just haven't acclimated yet. Give them 6 months. They'll be right in here with you and they'll be waving to you and it'll be no problem. But it is just a different feel here compared to a lot of places. Again, I love it. I love waving hello to my neighbors and back and forth. I love going down the street and stopping and chatting. So that's kind of my thing. You know what I don't love? Just as an aside, when I'm at the grocery store and the person checking out my stuff asks me questions about, what I'm doing with my groceries. Like that's my business. Leave it alone. Oh, you having a big party today? Maybe, but that's none of your business. Anyways, I could do without that part of it, but everything else, I love the friendliness and stopping to chat in the neighborhood and all of that good stuff right there. But there is a cultural shift. And so that could definitely be a con for you coming to this area. All right. So there are a bunch of pros, there are a bunch of cons, and some of the pros may be cons and some of the cons may be pros, but hopefully in the end, something in here was helpful for you. I would love, love, love it if you had a question for me, if you would throw it in the comments or hit me on a DM or send me a text. My phone number is right here in the channel. It goes directly to me. Would love, love, love that to answer your questions. We will see you in St. Johns County. Let's go. Stay classy, St. Johns County.